Welcome to the Ready for Real Estate podcast. Hey there, real estate pros. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or managing properties, this podcast is all about giving you the keys to success in today's market. I'm Matt Grace, realtor with Keller Williams, investor, and your guide to making smart, confident moves in real estate. And I'm not doing it alone. Join me and my co-host, Big Mike, from BMG Exteriors, bringing you expert advice on home maintenance, repairs, and how to protect your biggest investment. Plus, behind the scenes, we got our producer, Ben from BroPack, making sure every episode is packed with value. Here's the deal. Opportunity doesn't wait. When the perfect home, prime investment, or even big deal comes knocking, will you be ready to answer? That's exactly what this podcast is about. Arming you with the insights, expert advice, industry secrets, so you can take action with confidence. Learn how to secure financing and avoid costly mistakes. Selling? Get top strategies to maximize your home value and sell fast. Investing? Discover market trends, rental property tips, and wealth building strategies. Managing properties? Stay ahead with maintenance hacks, legal must-knows, and pro strategies. And you won't hear it from us. We have amazing guests. Mortgage pro Eddie Karpinski breaking down the latest interest rates and financing strategies. Credit specialist Tyra Jacqueline giving you inside scoop on building and repairing credit. Master electrician Joe Kiss with expert advice on home upgrades and energy efficiency. Elder lawyer Scott Bloom sharing must-know estate planning tips for homeowners and investors, and much, much more. The best real estate deals go to those who are prepared, and we are here to make sure you are ready for real estate. Subscribe now at readynews.beehive.com and follow us on social media, our newsletter packed with expert insights, market updates, and exclusive real estate tips. All right, let's dive in, because when opportunity knocks, you'll be ready to open the door. Hey there, folks. It's Matt, co-host of Ready for Real Estate, with our next episode. Welcome today. We are going to get into it pretty quickly here. Today, we decided to talk about numbers about the whole market, the whole industry across the board. So I'm here with Ben, the producer. Big Mike is up on the roof, and our lovely realtor, Lauren Pio, was a special guest. How you doing, Lauren?
Hey, I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good. So you have a guest with us today.
I do. We have actually my dad, Steven Pio. He's a contractor. He's one of the people who got me into real estate and taught me as much as I know about houses and homes. And yeah, Dad, if you want to introduce yourself.
How you doing?
Hey, Steve, how are you? Welcome to Ready for Real Estate.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So we would like to hear from you as a contractor and as an investor, how you do numbers just really in your head, and even how you make it a good deal, a walkaway deal, a possibility. So something real easy where people can understand on the fly, because me, honestly, numbers to me is like a foreign language, but if you're able to make it understand just like any other language, then you're so much better. So that's why I like bringing on normal people, I should say. I know you're normal, but I'm just bringing
Somewhat,
you on. Hey, and it's like, yeah, the basic of the what you see, how you do it, and how you perceive it moving forward. So, Lauren, when you hear the term numbers in the market, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh God, I was a French major. Don't ask me to do math. That's
Oh,
usually
no.
the mind. But
So,
I do. Yeah, the numbers are important. We have to know our numbers in this industry, and there are a lot of numbers that we talk about on a regular basis, and there are even numbers that we'll specifically send to our clients to give them a sense. And yeah, it's part of my job to translate that for you.
So our favorite client today is Benny Spice. So Benny came to you and said, "Hey, I am looking to buy. I am a new buyer. What's the first number that you're looking for Benny?"
For Ben, one of the first numbers I want to know is how much can he afford?
Yeah.
And that's going to come with his lender, but I'm going to send a ton of market data over to him so he's prepared and he knows what to expect. And so he can kind of see what the market's doing that he wants to move into.
So you give him a whole bunch of homework as a background before even going around and knowing what he needs, actually. So if he's a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom type of person, how many bathrooms, it's really his background of credit worthiness, debt to income, and down payment, and he understands the mortgage, the lending part of it, whether he is an FHA with around 3% down, or the regular mortgage of 20%. But can you explain if someone need to have 20% in or down? No, so Benny can have any sort of down payment if the deal works for him, correct? And that's based off of your, that's
Exactly. And we can even look at those numbers two ways. We can work with the lender to get that price point. So when Benny's looking for his $1.5 million home, or he can work with his lender and tell me, like, listen, Lauren, I really don't want to be spending more than $2,500 a month. We can work that way too. So we can work to match his rent, because a lot of renters, surprise, surprise, can actually afford to buy with what their normal rent payment is. And that'll include a ton of numbers. It'll include the principal on your mortgage. It'll include your property, your homeowner's insurance, your property taxes, any, if you have mortgage insurance, it'll include that number as well. So we can keep you in that same budget and still hit the number you want.
I believe the average monthly rent is $1,800 in Philly. And so if we get Benny to buy and have a for his Benny bus, the long driveway, he could actually be an owner and actually be making money or investing money instead of giving it to the landlord, right? So
exactly. And that's actually some advice that my parents gave me when I was young was, listen, you're either going to pay your own equity or you're going to pay for somebody else's. What would you rather do?
No, you're right. You're right with that. And it's all about setting up the expectations, setting up the process so it flows better. So on top of the real estate side of it, I'm going to refer to Steven behind you. So when you come out to a job and Benny needs, let's say, a new vanity built, or maybe even weather stripping on the doors, what in your experience is something that he could do to save money, and what your expertise could do to help him out?
Well, to save money, the big thing today is YouTube. You can learn a lot on YouTube. And if you're a little bit handy, you can do weather stripping. Installing a vanity may be a little different because you got plumbing involved. But a lot of it, to me, I've been in it for 40 years, but a lot of it to me is common sense because I've been doing it so long. But yeah, a lot of it can be done by watching YouTube.
And so let's back up. What's the favorite thing you like to do? Is it just basic carpentry? Is it plumbing? Is it electric?
I do everything. At my age nowadays, I usually sub out for electric and plumbing. I love doing kitchens, bathrooms, anything interior. I've stopped doing exterior work. That's not my full wax these days.
That's what we have my career.
Yeah, I love interior work.
That's great. You know what? You earned it. You know, after all these years, you've earned the right to work inside and not up on a roof. And Mike is up on a roof now, and he'll always tell us his stories about making sure that the everything is clear, everything is solid. There's no holes poking through, no weak spots on that. And he bases his pricing off of hours, man hours, and supplies, and date and time too. So there's a busy time of year where he's running around. We just had a storm, so that I could pretty much gather that that's why he's up on a roof at this time of day, because during wind can really tear apart your outside. And so just putting all of those factors in, that he's able to work with you on that, on a price for that. With you being on the inside, it's more as needed. It's more
it's mostly cosmetically.
Yeah.
Cosmetics and stuff like that, unless you want to do a full big project.
So walk us through, if you don't mind, if Ben needs just a basic vanity, let's say 24 by 22 square, one sink vanity that needs to be replaced. You're just building it out. Do you pick the wood? Do you give him options? What's that like?
Well, with today, a lot of customers, I'll send them to Home Depot, Lowe's, let them pick out what they want. I would get it for them, install it. If you wanted something custom made, I can do that too, but it depends on what your price point is. A custom made vanity installed can run up around $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, they can be very pricey having a custom made cabinet. That being said, going the other way, you might be talking, maybe $250 for a vanity, which includes a sink, and maybe another, maybe $400, $500 to install it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it depends on the scenario.
Right. So I think I like that fact that you send people out to the store so they can see the prices. So that's I think that's so key.
And the
really
product. And with me, if they're picking out a piece of crap, I'll tell them.
Right.
I've got a good.
That's excellent. So no particle board. So you
trying to avoid
Yeah. So part of being custom, you're actually paying for your expertise, your
Shop
experience.
design.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's great. And you'll do that kitchens, right?
Yes.
And other type of projects. That's
Yes.
awesome. So we'll have. Is there a phone number that people can call you to
Yes.
contact you for this?
Yeah.
And
My number
what
is
was that?
215
Mhm.
778 0004.
That's excellent. Excellent. So coming back to Lauren, I know you put together some really cool market, great local market data that it could be, and chiming in with Steven, price could be different in zip codes next to each other and even
Yep.
across the board. So do you want to talk about that, Lauren, about the median sold price and what that means and how you come across that?
Sure. So that can give us a sense of what homes are selling for in the neighborhood. So whether you're selling your house, that'll give us a sense of what your neighbors are selling for. Or if you're looking to buy into a neighborhood, if there's a specific school district you want to be in, if there's a specific neighborhood or block you want to be on, that can give us a good sense of whether, not to be so blunt, well, to be totally blunt about it, whether or not you can afford it. That'll give us a sense, but that can change, especially in Philadelphia, from block to block. You can
Yeah.
go from those neighborhoods change fast. And
Yeah.
that's where we come in to look at some of that data and to decode some of that data and to let you know really where those parameters are. We have the median sold price and the average price. I like the median sold price better because that's what people are actually paying. The
Yep.
average price, cool. That's whatever we think it's gonna sell for. That's not what somebody actually offered and closed on. The median sold price tells me what price people have actually recently paid.
Yep. That's excellent because I could tell you, and it's good evidence for sales presentations or listing presentations where people feel, and it's probably the biggest bump out there is they have a different pricing thought in their head than what's actually worth it. I I had a person wanting to sell or list their house at 600,000 in a Philly row because the neighbor up the street told her a different price than what she actually got. And so we had to prove through the MLS that
Mhm.
the price that your neighbor told you was not the price recorded in public records. So,
Exactly. And there's a lot to take into consideration there too, because how do we know that the neighbor didn't hire my dad to come in and do a completely redone kitchen and
right.
redo all the bathrooms versus their house, which I don't know, but for the sake of the example, the bathroom hasn't been touched since the 50s.
Right.
How do
Yeah.
we know there too? The price will reflect that.
Yep. So that's a great way of putting that. And so if we can say like stack numbers, so we deal with just the average value of the house, and that's one number. And then
Mhm.
if you stack on top of that a new bathroom, a new kitchen, mechanicals are newer,
Mhm.
new roof, that layers the price going up exactly. And it creates the pricing slot that makes it affordable for the buyer and the seller to come together on a price and then make it successful. First thing I always see in these transactions is the slots don't fit. So
Mhm.
buyer, Mr. Buyer doesn't jive with Mr. Seller. And so the slots so are different. So that you move on, the house goes more on days on the market. And so now it's even wider. So
Mhm.
and it's really our job to match that up, and that's where we actually become like a therapist to them. So do you want to talk a little bit more about how the days on the market affects pricing slots on these properties?
Definitely. Yeah, that's one of my favorite like quick and dirty stats to give me a really good sense of what's going on in the area, what's going on with the property. Because you could have an absolutely stunning mansion that's a phenomenal price, has his footprint all over it with all the work, but it's been sitting on the market for 150 days.
Yeah.
What are we doing? That's a
Yeah.
huge red flag for me. Is it priced too high? Is there a body in the basement? Did somebody that's not my dad come in and do work and
Yeah.
it's all shoddy? Like, we don't know until we get in there, versus something that could be grandmom and pop-pop's house that hasn't been touched since the 70s. But again, someone's been maintaining it immaculately. That might be on the market for 6 days. It's not going to be cosmetically pretty, but those systems are going to be the cleanest you've seen in a long time. So that days on market can really give you a good sense of what's going on with the property. And what's going on with the neighborhood too. It can give you a sense of the desirability of a neighborhood. If houses are moving quickly and that's where you want to be, you're right, we're going to be coming up with a pretty serious offer. We're not playing around. But if you see that houses have been sitting on the market for a month or 2, 3 months, then we might be able to negotiate a price drop. We might be able to negotiate a lower price because clearly it's been sitting, nothing's moving.
Yep. So that lends into my next question for you, is the list price. If you want to get into that. So if homes are selling above 100%, let's say, what's that tell you about the competition? Is it too high? Is it too low? Is it an up and coming area, as in based off of the school district that it's in? What's your thoughts on that?
So it depends on whether I'm representing the buyer or the seller.
Yeah.
If I'm representing the seller, then a list to price ratio that's over 100%. Oh man, that's good news. Oh, that's great news. Chances are we're going to have a bidding war, is what that tells me. And chances are good, we're going to make more than what we're listing it for, more than what we expected. For a buyer, on the other hand, that's not terrible news. It's not bad news. It just, again, means that we need to be very serious and very strategic to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward, because there is going to be competition. On the other hand, if you're seeing a lower ratio, it flips in the other way. The seller may not get their full asking price. We may have to negotiate. We may have to call Mike in to redo the roof. We may need a concession for someone to come in and redo the kitchen. But for a buyer, again, it's that strategy. It's like, okay, this place might need a little work. This neighborhood is a little bit dated. Let's get creative, see what we can do.
That's a great answer for that. So I do have another question for you. So with the inventory and the months of supply, it's normally been running about 4 to 6. That's the balanced market rule. So below 4 months is a seller's market, right? Over 6 months, buyers. And actually, we're right in the middle of that. I believe the current numbers have us in like that 5th month type deal. So it's truly like a balanced market. So what drives this number? Is it more national metrics? Is it local? Is it a combination of both? If someone like Benny is looking at the market or having questions about, does he want to be in a seller's market or a buyer's market, what would you tell him? What's your readiness on that?
So when we're looking for Benny Spice's new house,
Yep.
we want to be in a buyer's market. It means he's going to have a leg up. It means there's going to be more inventory for him to choose from, so that number is going to be a little bit higher, versus once it's low, that's going to be your seller's market. The inventory is not there. It's not, I equate it kind of to shopping the clearance section, where it is what it is. The available properties are the available properties. It's not, this is what we have to work with. So if you want to hold off, you can hold off. If you have to move now, this is what we're working with.
And that's what I see us coming out of that type of market, where it was sellers that needed to sell and buyers that really wanted to buy, and then add in, as we call the tire kickers, people that spend their Sundays going around and snooping around open houses. But that's fine. That's better than running the streets, right? So
yeah, part of the fun.
Yeah. And so I think it's better, of course, to be in a buyer's market for the Benster, for Benny Spice. Is there any advice, readiness advice, you give buyers during this time?
Yeah. Be ready. It sounds hokey. It sounds cliched, but
sounds like a podcast. Yeah.
Exactly. It's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'll tell them, like, listen, we're going to go out. We're going to look at properties.
Yeah.
Be ready to sign an agreement. If you see something you fall in love with, I will get you an agreement tonight.
Yeah.
We will get this under contract as soon as possible. But if you're not, especially in a tighter market, if you're not ready to sign that agreement, then maybe we're not ready to go out looking at houses.
Yeah.
Because if you fall in love, somebody else may very well come in and snap that out from under you. It's what we saw in New Jersey in the spring. It was absolutely brutal. We were looking at around about a month's worth of inventory, which is low. Buyers were getting beat out left, right, and center. So it's definitely we want to be strategic, and we want to make sure that you're getting the property that you love and that you're ready to jump when you do come across that place.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. And I'm actually getting alerted by Mike. I think he's done. Yeah, I think he's on top of the house there. So we're done coming off the house.
Points of contact coming down that ladder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't be texting and laddering at the same time. So moving on. So we touched on the buyers, we touched on the sellers, and the third piece is actually the renters that we like for both our investors and both as buyers, because we try to work with to get them to buyers, correct? So that's a nice little help that we do, and that's what it is. So the 30% rule, the average rent price is, like I was telling you earlier, it's about $1,800, and that's probably it's going to get you probably a duplex floor, right? Correct, and probably 2 bedrooms, kitchen, and a living area blended in with like a little dining area, and that's what it is.
Depending on where you're looking.
Exactly, and that's what we're all talking about here. It goes back to the prep meeting with Benny Spice. When he walks in, you sit down and well, what do you want? And so you have to peer through him. And so what the person actually is telling you, you're actually trying to feel to see where to fit them. So sometimes it's a square peg in a round hole, or it's something like not even on the same ball field. To use two analogies at once there, pretty crazy. So, but going to Ben as the consumer, this is for you. When you see, and we talked about this last week, when you see in the news a buyer's market. The title is, oh, we're sliding into a buyer's market, or housing inventory is low. What's your thought in that? What do you see on that? Does that discourage you? Do you have a conversation with Lauren, your realtor? What are you thinking of at that time?
I'm gonna tell you the before and after, actually. So before, when I started hearing that on the news or the social medias and things like that, to me it was like, oh, it goes back to, it's not the perfect time to buy. It's not the time to look into it, or it's another excuse to keep pushing it back. And now that I'm surrounded by amazing people and I'm getting a lot of beautiful insight, I'm more like, okay, this is not for me to worry about. Let me push it to my realtor. They can explain it more to me of what's happening or what's going on more than I can. So one thing I've learned about this complete journey, if you don't know about it, don't worry about it. There's people for it. So as I'm learning about the numbers, which suck, and everything in between, to me, it's been more, okay, I know, let me handle what I can understand, and what I don't, I'm gonna go to Matt. I'm gonna go to Lauren. I'm gonna go to see whoever has a better understanding than I do. So that's my input, and I think it's been helpful seeing the whole entire process. So if from not just from buying the houses, but the process to, oh, before you come to me, make sure your credit you have this on your credit and it's fixed, or do this or do that. And when you're talking about the numbers or the news or everything's all rising, it's just like, is it the best time or is it going to continue rising? Because ever since I've heard about, oh, buy a house, everything's been rising since I've known about it. So I feel like that's where I'm going to go with that, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. And you always hear, thank you, Ben, and you'll always hear me with this analogy of the Wawa. So if you walk in, you need a gallon of milk from Wawa, you'll buy it because you need it. And actually put that towards real estate. You need to buy a house, you'll buy it. And so the milk will increase. That's what it is. It's a price of living increases there. And so that's where you buy milk to get nourishment, to be able to work, make money. Same thing with buying a house. You buy a house, you put money into it, you get equity out, and you have a better life. That's my Wawa analogy. And so thank you, Ben, for your input on that. And so when we're talking, we're going to switch it up a little bit with Lauren here. So Benny actually bought the house now, right? And let's define. Yeah, congrats, Ben. So hopefully you love the great housewarming gift of a free podcast subscription there for real estate. And so Lauren, what's his next steps? So he's in there, he's putting up his window treatments. He has his sparkle van out there. You know, he's enjoying life as Benny Spice. And what numbers should he concentrate on now? He doesn't need to know his credit score every day, right? He doesn't need to do that. His debt ratio. So what numbers replace those numbers?
So one thing I want to touch on a little bit is your credit report, your credit score. You can actually pull that yourself for free once every 12 months.
Wow.
You have full access to that information. Yeah, you can pull that. Keep an eye on it. It's totally free once every 12 months. And it's a good sense to see if there's anything funky going on. And you can catch something before we get to the point where we need to hire someone to repair it. But now some of the numbers that Ben's going to want to look at is his equity. What are we doing with the house? Did we buy a beater? with a carport for his tour bus and no walk-in closet for his platforms, no vanity. Do we want to boost that equity? Do we want to put those numbers in? So that's where he may very well call me and say, hey, Lauren, listen, I really need a nicer closet. I really have to do something with this bathroom, this kitchen. Just, it's not, no, it's not working. He'll call me, hey, do you know anyone who can do this? Of course, Ben. Absolutely. Here's my dad's number. Call him.
Right.
And then I'll turn it over to him to come in and quote some of these jobs out to put some of that equity back into the house. Because like my dad said, a lot of the cosmetic things, we can fix those. That's not a problem.
Yeah. So going back to Steven. So in this example, and someone just bought the house and it's a blank palette for you, and they're like, we need to put our touch in this, our stamp on this. Where would you start? And what kind of conversation would you have with them?
It would depend on their budget. Again, I'm a kitchen guy. I love kitchens. That always adds value to the house.
Always.
Okay.
And there's different ways you can do a kitchen. You can do, if the cabinets are in decent shape, just paint them. New countertops, backsplash. That makes it, look 100% better. But to, rearrange it, put your dream kitchen in there, that's going to cost you a little bit more money.
So a question for you, speaking of dream kitchens, what are some of the cooler projects that you've worked on? Like what would you consider like what would be a dream kitchen in your book that we can recommend to Ben for his house? Like there's just really sharp installs that kind of that stopped you in your tracks.
I do so many kitchens. There's a lot of them out there. It's just the little details, the trimming, the crown molding. Are the cabinets going to the ceiling? To me, that always looks nice. The type of hood you want to put in, whether it's stainless steel, wood hood, microwave hood. There are so many options out there. It's endless. I usually tell my customers before they get started, look at magazines. Find out what you see in the magazines that you like, and we'll try and incorporate them into the kitchen. May not work, some of the stuff, but at least they'll get an idea of what they're looking for, because there's so much cool stuff out there. I just can't say what was my favorite that I've ever done, because there's a lot of them.
So as you're walking through Benny's new house, right, and you're the kitchen guy, would you recommend him, if he needs bathrooms first or floors redone, for that kitchen to be totally functional, totally popping? Would you tell him or give him advice to do this first and then the last project would be the kitchen? Or would you put the kitchen in first and the rest of the house? So
it depends on what what kind of money you're looking at. Okay. A kitchen always, adds to it. The bathrooms might need a little bit more work because company, of course, is going to be going in there, and they aren't as expensive. So it kind of gets you off to a softer start when you do the little jobs like that.
Okay.
Flooring's a whole different thing because it depends what type of flooring you're putting in.
Right.
If you're doing a hardwood or tile floor in your kitchen, I put that in first and cabinets on top of it.
Okay.
If you're doing a laminate floor, that goes in last.
So this pops into my head here. So would you recommend them then for Benny to keep the old carpet in as you're working in the kitchen, so you're not destroying any new flooring and any other issues in the house? So
Absolutely. You want to keep the house protected as much as you can. If you're resaving your floors as a contractor, I make sure they're all covered up before I go in and start doing the work. But if you're planning on putting new carpets in, leave that go till last till your other major work's done, so you don't have any chance of destroying it or, getting paint on it or whatever, because stuff does happen.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. So that is awesome. So thank you for that. And then so we're dealing with equity, we're dealing with the advantages of now having a tax write-off, correct? So Benny's going to get some money back if he does it right, and let's say he does. And so now, like the bigger expenditures, he's talked to Steve. He has that lined up, but he sees a leak. He reads the property disclosure, and the roof is kind of end of life, and so he needs a roof replacement. So this is where Mike would come in at and offer his advice on that. So I'm going to jump in there and just take a little bit of his advice when he actually did a roof for me a little while back. So he talks about the square. And if people don't know, the square is 100 square feet. And so that is like the standard calculation for the roof. And so that is one main number to think of. So if you see, for me, I'm always asking people for pricing just so you know the numbers, right? And that's what it's about. So someone could be high, someone could be a Macy's price, and then someone could be a Lots price. It's all where they're at in their pricing, and so they may use the gold tax on the roof. Who knows? But the 100-foot square is what they're talking about, and what Benny should know is what square he has on his roof, so he can compare the pricing. And so I've seen it. I like it where people grab a copybook, or even now, Google has great sheets where all of these numbers and tabs you can put in: a bathroom tab, a roofing tab, a carpet and flooring tab. So it's all readily available. So it's not up here, it's in front of you that way. So, so that's what we're talking about. So if it's a 1,500 square foot roof, it's 15 square. So that's what Benny's talking about. When he refers to the estimates, always put it up against the square. So, and then the three, let's go by three, and Steven can talk to this too. It's a good question for him. The three core numbers in any estimate would be materials, labor, and disposal fees. So I know you what kind of fees they are, but out of the estimate for Benny, and let's say in Philly for that, so we're talking shingles, underlayment, the cost variant on that. Also, the labor. How many guys will it take to do this roof? If it's a one-day job, and I see it all the time, it's like 7 guys just tearing the roof off of a house, and it is down to like the rafters within minutes. But the person's paying for all of that, correct? So, and then the disposal fees. I know around here in Philly that there's a couple places that don't take scrap anymore, or so that's supply and demand of even trash, and that's an expended cost there, a bigger cost to really plan out there. So that's some of the numbers that Benny has to plan on. And Steven, how do you scope or craft your estimate? Is it really hours? And because you send your people to Home Depot, that is already there for you. So you're really just putting in your hours and disposal. Is that correct?
Yeah. Depending on what the job is, I would never send somebody to Home Depot, Lowe's for a big kitchen.
Okay.
I've got kitchen guys that I use where, the warranties are better and I can back them up.
Okay.
And as far as demolition, I have guys, again, they come in there, they do the job, they're in and out, and they dispose of the stuff properly. So I don't have to worry about that.
And they clean after themselves too.
Yeah,
They're
they clean up
incredible.
after themselves. And that's the big thing on any job, is keeping it clean.
Okay. So do you add into like a scale of complexity where, let's say and I see this too, where the kitchen's a small little galley kitchen and they want to expand out, like blow out a wall, go out over a deck, or include another room, that will eventually be, you would have to redo that. So is that all involved with your estimate?
Yeah, I would put all that in there, of course, and the other thing you got to worry about are permits. I always recommend you get a permit, and price of permits vary so much. That's something you really can't put in the contract, because you don't know what it is until you actually go and get them. Because it's just hard to do. But yeah, everything gets put into the job. This way, the customer, there's no surprises for them. Sometimes there are surprises you don't see. Termites, mold. There are things that pop up that you don't see. So explain to the customer up front that these may be extra costs, and so they understand if they run into it, we have to deal with them when that comes up.
That is a great answer, leading us into a great question for Lauren to answer. Have you seen any issues in cost estimates that have derailed deals? Like your dad brought up mold, termites. I've seen termites crush deals. And almost send people to have a little vacation over it. But how do you fix that? What's your advice for that? That you peel the floor up, and the beams are like seconds away from falling in, and thank God Steven was there to actually see that and discover that. And now a $5,000 kitchen is now $10,000-$12,000 because you got to replace the actual structure. And so
so that's definitely something that we have to keep in mind. I mean, I know I've said it. It's like, I don't want to know what's behind those walls. I don't want to know. But one thing you want to keep in mind.
Out of mind.
Oh yeah. And it's because once I know, it has to be disclosed. So we, one thing that I like to encourage buyers is to keep in mind is, if you're having a home inspection, we can't open walls. We're not going to open walls. We're not going to take up floors. So it's really what is just visible that we can get a sense for. So you may know that there were termites at some point, but we're not going to know the extent of the damage until someone like my dad gets in there and rips up the floor. And now we have to replace joists. Like what? And it's that's something that we have to keep in mind. And you may not know until we get there. Fortunately, there are contractors, there are engineers, or people that we can work with. There are solutions. And it may just mean that kitchen reno, It's sorry, Benny. It's not. Your appliances aren't going to be brand spanking new. We might be sending you to Restore to go find something instead, because we're not getting you. You're not going to get a Sub-Zero and a Viking Range. Like, it's just you have to shore up your floors. I'm sorry.
Yep. That's a great point. And you bring up the point is, as Benny's budget is a fluid, kind of liquidous type of being, where it's meant for the kitchen and the roof and a bedroom, but the kitchen took up most of the equity. And now, where do you pull from that? It comes from, all right, the roof is going to have to wait a bit. That added on bedroom has to wait a bit, because the kitchen's the most important. And you can't live with a microwave on the kitchen table until or the refrigerator as the cooler, or the cooler as the refrigerator. So you have to put more functional appliances in and live that way. So
let me tell you this: if you have a roof problem, I would do the roof, even though I don't do roofs. I would do the roof first, because the damage that a leaky roof can cause can destroy that new kitchen you put in.
Okay.
So, I would look at important things like that. What is going to be safer and protect you down the road.
And to build on that, Matt, I know you mentioned in the seller's disclosure, we saw that roof is really kind of close to the end of life. We know it's going to need attention. So luckily, Ben and I were able to negotiate that into the sale price. We were able to get the sellers to come down a little bit to accommodate that new roof. So Benny's kitchen budget has been a little bit protected, because we have the sellers helping us out with the roof that we knew was going to be an issue. So we can build those things into the plan. We can build those concessions, and it happens every day. I'm not saying that the sellers have to accept it or they have to agree to it necessarily, but it is a tool that we have in our back pocket to get to the closing table.
That's really good to know. And that really kind of sets the deal still going forward. And since Mike is on the roof, I know that BMG Exteriors also offers a service where they go and they walk your roof and tell you exactly what's needed, the age of it. Mike will even give you a warranty on it for so many years until you're able to get it fully replaced and safe and solid. So great answer, Steven. Great follow-up, Lauren. So it's about the preventative maintenance of this. And
exactly.
And so, Steven, I don't know if you ever seen it where you put in a brand new kitchen and the roof fell through and wiped it all out. I know Mike has a story like that where he had to replace a roof twice because the person did not have proper drainage on the roof on that. And so that's
the only problems I've run into where I had to replace kitchens that I've put in, and I hate saying it, would be fire damage. I've had a couple ranges. I mean, nothing I did, but there was a couple faulty ranges that caught fire, or somebody left candles out. That's the extent of what, and I would say probably maybe 2 kitchens in my lifetime that I've ever had to rework because of damage like that. Flood damage is easier to take care of because that's all lower. Lower stuff.
I've dealt with flood damage personally, and it's amazing how quickly your basement turns into a raging rapids there. So, and it just wicks up the walls So Benny, we're going to be wrapping up here. So I appreciate Steve's excellent experience and advice here. Lauren's great advice and feedback here. Benny, what number really kind of surprised you on this? Is there a number that stood out?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna look at it
No,
from.
that's fine. So would it be?
So right now, the more, because I understand it more, like I was saying earlier, I've been listening and I've been studying with you guys.
Yep.
So the numbers don't surprise me, but I'm looking at it from, let's say, someone that doesn't know anything about this, or me just starting in again. I would have been. I'm good with running.
Yeah. A lot of people are, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's how I was thinking about it. It's like, okay, let me rent. But then as I'm doing this and I'm learning more about it, it's like, I don't want to pay someone's mortgage when I can pay my own.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
so
you know what? That's the market churn, Benny, and you're right in a good spot. So
yeah. So I'm not surprised by the numbers, but I am surprised by how much this process is, especially when it comes when Lauren explains oh, well, we could also put this in the plan, or we could actually negotiate this. I'm over here a lot of people. This is me experiencing. Every detail of the house could either bring up the price or bring down the price.
Yes.
And I think that's what, to me, has sparked the conversation and the idea of looking for places is, where do I want it? How old is it? Has there been any changes made into it? I was never thinking about none of this. Now I'm over here do I need a new kitchen? Mm-hmm. It's true. Everybody hangs out in the kitchen and not in the living room. So I'm happy that I'm building that connection, and as well as understanding that when I get the house, I might be paying the mortgage for myself, but ain't no landlord coming to fix anything.
Mm-hmm.
No,
exactly.
you're it. You're the captain of your ship there. And if you, the great example of what you just said is, right after Halloween this past week, the Christmas commercials came out, and the one from Macy's where the person spent all day prepping the meal, and she set out a great big display of her dining room table, but everyone was in the kitchen. And she's looking through the door in her kitchen to an empty table, and she just enjoyed herself with her friends in her kitchen. And that's what it is. It's learning to love your house. Yep. And it's about having the right people there. And so it's learning numbers. But like me and Lauren had a nice conversation this week about the added value that we give people, and so what we want to be able to do, and numbers is one of it. It's just what it is. It's, if we're just not tour guides, we're advice givers, we're therapists, we're all that, and so if you go and see houses with someone that just opens up the door and swings it open and waits for your response, I would think you would need to start looking for someone with better value for that, because you're not gaining anything, and they're actually taking, not money from you, because the seller actually pays them for their work, but you really need to really look into the added value that you get from realtors. And so we can give you numbers, and they're just numbers, but if we explain them to you, like this episode we did here, I think there's a huge value in that. And so leaning over to Lauren now, do you have any final tips for people?
Yeah, I mean, we can, to build on what you were saying, Matt, we can, in addition to numbers and translating and telling you what all of this stuff means and what it could mean for you as an individual, we can give you ideas too.
Yep.
Don't be afraid of the ugly house on the block, because you know what? If it has good bones, we can do some really cool stuff. And it's ugly, most likely it's cheap. We can get you a loan that'll let you hire somebody like my dad to come in and renovate it for you.
Yeah,
And
that's correct.
essentially doubled your money in equity if we do it right. So there are definitely ideas that can be shared. I mean, we're in houses all the time. So we see, that was a really sharp backsplash. That one's really cool. This one sold, this appliance package. We can make those recommendations. This paint color, that wall can come down, and we can kind of turn that house that you're not really feeling. We can help you turn that into home.
That's a great point. Excellent point again. We don't want you living in a home, in a house that you have to put up with, like that low ceiling in that room, or that no closet space for Benny's platforms.
Unless that's what you like, because my parents' house was like that. So unless that's your jam, then I got you. We'll go find one.
And you learn to love your house, and it loves you back with great teams like your dad, like your realtor, like yourself. And that's what it's about. And it starts with the numbers. So you're going to learn to know, all right, this appliance package is way out of price. I can't afford that. So you get not the lowest job, not the lowest value, but the middle one. And so that way you have give on both sides, and the house will love you back for that. So I know, and we're pretty much done today. So I appreciate everyone here with knowing numbers of the real estate. And again, I thank you, Steven, for coming on and giving your great expertise and experience.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to seeing you soon, and seeing the work that you've done, and seeing how many people contact you through our podcast here and ready for real estate. And whether you're ready for a new kitchen, a new bathroom, any sort of home renovations, I hope they come to you through this medium. So Lauren, any final thoughts? Oh, sure.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, listening to you speak, and it's like, oh, I have to go upstairs and take pictures because Dad just finished this kitchen. So we'll get some pictures online so you can check out some of his work. But yeah, definitely have your team on board and trust your professionals. They know what recommendations to make, and there's a reason they're making them. Like I've never seen my dad steer a client wrong. And he's always had some suggestions that I never would have thought of that he's been able to come up with. So trust your pros. Absolutely. They're here for you. They want it to go through. They want to do as cool of a job for them as you want.
That's, again, I can't believe the amount of good advice and comments you just hit on that. Now it's another added value is your team behind you. So
trusted team, your vetted team.
Yeah, it doesn't end at the transaction table. So you refer them to your team that you know how they work, what their prices are like, any issues going on that you can confidently say, give my dad a call. We'll take care of you on that one.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, this is the end of our episode of Ready for Real Estate, the numbers episode. I appreciate everyone on today. Ben, the producer, Lauren, the realtor, Steven, the contractor, and I'm Matt, the co-host of Ready for Real Estate. Thank you all. Have a great one. We'll be talking to you soon. Take care.
I'll save you a seat. Come on now, swing on by. Bring whatever's been on your mind. Locals on tap and bottles on ice. Living on feel good standard time. My card's on the bar. You got nowhere to be if you don't come through, buddy. That's on you, 'cause the beer's on me. Yeah, the beer's on me. Ain't that right, Hardy? Yeah, I'm gonna get around a two for all the ones. Just a busting you back while you cussing the sun. And if your girl don't.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Ready for Real Estate podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Stay connected with us on social media and sign up for our Ready News for exclusive tips, market updates, and expert insights. When opportunity knocks, will you be ready? See you next time.
We turning up, got double cups, the sun's going down. With loggers, I'm a boxer, yeah, I need about 12 rounds. And I could be a sponsor if you like how that sounds.